Q&A time. Let's do it. First question today. Thoughts on skipping bicep curls altogether? I don't care about biceps and they're annoying to squeeze into my routine. Do you think I will get splash over from various rowing pulling exercises? I'm already torso dominant, but I feel that I could put more energy in extra rowing pulling exercises than a bicep curl. Yeah. If you go heavy on rows and do a variety of them, you can get pretty big arms that way. Will the bicep have its best possible shape? Will it pop its very best off of just rows? Probably not, unless you're doing a lot of underhanded Yates rows. That's a really good, I mean, it was so good Dorian managed to rip his biceps off doing that, so that's an intense one. Also, I always recommend weighted or heavy weighted negative chin-ups is one of the best bicep slash lat exercises ever. So yeah, I go through long periods of time where I don't do any regular bicep curls. Bicep curls are something, I may do a variation of a bicep curl once in a while here and there, just to shock my biceps because they hardly ever do those conventional boring bicep exercises. Most of my training involves hanging with extra weight and pulling myself up, and I also have fixed position exercises I like for biceps more than bicep curls. Go to my, if you're interested in an example of what I mean by that, an idea that I got from gymnasts, go to my workouts playlist and go to the one that says 10 supersets, biceps, triceps, and watch the bicep exercise I'm using in that, because it puts your arms in a very much more stretched position so the long head of the bicep can develop a lot more, even more than drag curls, more than anything, more than any conventional bicep exercise. Gymnasts have the best pound for pound biceps around. That's why I went ahead and designed my bicep training to be more effective than standing there doing this with a bar. So it's not that you can't build biceps, doing regular bicep curls. You obviously can, but there's other ways that are, I would consider, even better and more fun, because like you, standing somewhere doing this is extremely boring to me. Awesome question. Much love. Moving on. Could you train your rhomboid area and the rest of the muscles which you train with nether shrugs with gymnastic rings, or any advice on how to get that area bigger with only gymnastic rings? Sure, if you can get in, you might need to put your feet on something if you haven't mastered every, position of holding on the rings, but if you elevated your feet on something and did something similar to Australian pull-ups, except nether style with no arm bend, I would wrap my hands with weight straps and wrap them onto the rings, elevate my feet to the angle that I want. You could put your feet even higher than your upper body, and then the angle that you're moving at would be very similar to doing an upright nether row. Same thing, just pull with your back. Do not pull with your biceps. Don't bend your arms. Leave your arms out of it, because your back can do a lot more. And rep that shit until you fall off those rings, okay? You can definitely do inverted nether rows on rings. And one of these days, I'll get some rings and I'll demonstrate a lot of cool shit. Rings are definitely something a guy like me should have, so that's on my Christmas list or something. All right? Cool question. But yes. And if you are having trouble visualizing and inventing a lot of exercises to do on rings, and you want to get another better upgrade for me just for that, to design you an entire upper body kind of, one or two or maybe even three different, I'm thinking multiple different ideas right now. But anyway, if you want to do that, we can do that. I can design you another better upgrade, building muscle on rings. All right? Or anything, really. That's what another better upgrade's for. It's for your own custom interests. Awesome. Much love. Next question. Nether, is there a way to have good breath if you're eating raw garlic daily, like a food or supplement that masks the smell of garlic? Been getting great results using raw garlic, but the breath is annoying as fuck. Thanks, and help with keep the great content coming. You're welcome, my friend. Let me think now. Obviously, guys like me who just don't give a shit and walk around like they're on antisocial grizzly bear most of the time, I can get away with eating a lot of garlic, because if anybody smells it, generally they don't say anything to me anyway. But I know what you mean. It is challenging. And here's the thing. You'll find that even if you cover your breath, the smell of it's coming out of all your pores everywhere, at least if you're taking as much of it as I do. So it's tricky. You can use some kind of mouth spray or some kind of mint or something. Try things like that. Mint-based herbal. You could chew on some mint leaves. That'd probably cover it as far as the breath. As far as the full body smell, what I've done in the past when I was going to have to be around a lot of people in close proximity, but I was also using a lot of garlic and I didn't want to stop, I consumed a bunch of fenugreek, high doses of fenugreek, so I'd actually smell a little more like fenugreek instead of garlic. Fenugreek has a, it's almost like, to me it seems like a little bit almost of a sweet smell. Maybe that's just me, but it reminds me of a sweet smell, and it comes out of all your pores. It's very good at, just like garlic, it's very good at penetrating everything. So if you take a lot of fenugreek, you might smell a little more like fenugreek, which most people would consider a nicer smell than garlic. Now, me personally, I actually like the smell of garlic and onions and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me in the least. I consider those good smells, but I realize a lot of people don't. So those are my thoughts. Those are a few little things I've done to help out in certain sticky situations where I didn't want to reek of garlic so hard that it was making other people's eyes water, which, by the way, I have done. Awesome question. Much love. Next question. Hey, brother, I've been dealing with acne ever since 2014. About a year ago in May, I had enough and decided to go paleo. My acne tremendously improved to the point where I got no big ugly spots forever. Still haven't got any. I found a big trigger to be dairy. Yeah, dairy is a mass pollutant for 95% of people on this planet. You can get bigger, but you can also grow tumors and all kinds of other shit. It's just baby cow growth formula that's been cooked in an oven somewhere is really not good for humans. So anyway, good call on that. You added years to your life and life to your years. However, I will continue to get whiteheads and spots on my back and face still. Okay, nothing like before, but my skin is far from perfect like yours. Well, mine's not perfect either, but my face is pretty good these days, so thank you for that. Although, and also, just so you guys know, when I was a teenager, I had severe acne, like really, really bad. Pretty much my entire teenage years, okay? So, I want you to know that you can have severe acne and then, you know, get past that and change a lot of things about your diet and lifestyle and have good skin after severe acne, in case you're wondering. Although it cleared up, it never healed back to my childlike skin. Okay, read more. Wow, this is quite a paragraph. On January 22nd, 2018, I went vegan, hoping this would be the final weapon to clear my skin, but to this day it's still the same and gave me no superior effects. Veganism and paleo have had the same effects on my skin in terms of trying to clear it up. It is the clearest I've ever been since 2014, but still not completely clear. Now I'm debating whether to try keto to try to get rid of it, but really don't want to go back to eating animal products, as I know plant-based eating is the healthiest for the body. But I read that a high glycemic index can cause skin issues, and eating a low GI while vegan and trying to bulk is pretty much impossible for me right now. That is quite a challenge. Nether, as you can see, I'm in a tough one right now, and I'm young, about to turn 19, and want to go and live my life. I'm a good-looking man like you. Well, thanks, man. But these spots are holding me back from being the best version of myself and making me self-conscious. Do you have any tips on how I could rid myself of this problem forever and return to my childlike skin? Is diet the only thing to do with it? If you don't want to say everything you know in the video for certain reasons, I could email you. Thanks for your help. I truly appreciate you and everything you do for the community. Much love. Much love to you too, friend. Well, let me give you what comes to mind here. I know you guys hear this a lot, but again, organic castor oil is good for detoxifying skin, and it actually detoxifies your body deeper than that by soaking through your skin. It's bound to help with acne, okay? Whether it's back knee or anywhere else on your body, it's bound to help. So I would rub some organic castor oil into all those areas daily. It's really good for your complexion and skin anyway. As far as diet, eliminating dairy seems to be the main thing you've done for yourself here. So I agree with you. It's challenging to bulk hard on a vegan diet because there's not a lot of high protein foods that most people can do that well eating that much that often. So maybe understand that the way I understand it, the term plant-based means you eat mostly plant foods, not all. So you don't have to be legalistic at this point. Eat a lot of healthy vegetables and herbs and so forth. But if you need a little bit of chicken or eggs or something to fill out your protein for the day, don't beat yourself up for that, okay? Going plant-based for people should be like a step at a time kind of a thing anyway, because they're much more likely to maintain whatever changes they make that way. A lot of people going cold turkey from one diet to another extreme, they just have weird overcorrections and effects, and usually it doesn't last. So think of it as you take one step at a time on your diet to dial it in slowly, because self-mastery of diet is a lifelong thing, guys, and nobody's done it yet. There's been people that have come close. There's been people that have mastered their own digestion to a much higher percentage than most of the population, but it's one of those things where no matter how good you get at it, your own personal diet, you can always get better. So remember, it's a lifelong thing. There's not some diet somebody can give you today that's it. That's all I need to know, and I'll just eat those things for the rest of my life and never question it again. It's not like that. Leave the door open. Leave the door open to your own improvement, because you're going to be changing. New information and ideas is going to be coming into your life as you go. So you must be open to using new information to continue to adjust and improve on things, diet included, okay? So try the topical treatment. And also, as far as internal cleansing, some things that might help just clean your lymph system and the amount of junk in your body that can be turned into whiteheads or anything else. Diatomaceous earth, bentonite clay. For some reason, I really feel like if you'll just use those two things to clean out your digestive tract, and they're very easy to use. You just mix them with some water and drink them once a day, and they basically taste neutral, like nothing. So, very easy to do. Very detoxifying to the inside of the body. And that way you're lowering internal loads of toxins, because those two substances, the diatomaceous earth and the bentonite clay, both they pull radiation, parasites, bacteria, fungus, heavy metals, chemicals, plastics, carcinogens, all the stuff that's toxic in this world that people are full of. They pull all that out of your body. So very affordable, very easy thing to do, making a drink of those two things each day. And a lot of other health benefits, okay? The diatomaceous earth improves people's circulation, their skin. Oh, think about that, better skin. It's loaded with silica, makes your hair grow faster and nails. Bones and joints heal faster. So not only will those things detoxify you, they give you a lot of special nutrition too that you'll benefit from. Totally harmless, totally healthy, totally affordable, totally easy to do. Those on the inside, and then the organic castor oil on the skin blemish areas on the outside should very much help you to detoxify whatever is building up in your skin, and to the point where it's causing these whiteheads. Okay. And remember, with time, this will generally get better also, but especially if you take responsibility for your own continuous evolution with your diet and your lifestyle. All right, much love and appreciation. Next question. Nether the type of dude to bring his power rack with him on vacation. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm going to put wheels on my power rack and take it on vacation. Type of dude to knock a rhino's teeth out when he's bored. Definitely. Type of dude to ask a guy for directions and go the other way. Yeah! I love it. Okay. Keep it up with the type of dude comments. They're good. All right, next question. Hey Nether, great content. I feel like I'm very torso dominant. Big chest and back. My arms are very skinny compared with the torso. I'm tall, 6'5", and around 220. I tried increasing volume and frequency, but it seems not to work. Any advice? Let's see here. So basically you're saying arms are a frustrating challenge for you up till now because they're long, skinny, it's hard to thicken them up. You could always get another better upgrade, but off the top of my head, I was a little that way myself. My arms are real long. And the longer they are, of course, the skinnier they appear compared to your body, even if they're not actually that skinny when you measure them. So visually, I've put a lot of extra work in on my arms to have them thick enough that they go well with the rest of my upper body the way I see it. A lot of that for me has involved daily arm feeders for at least probably 3 years straight now. And at this point, I do blood flow restriction training every day on my arms with those feeders. So I give them a super pump and a super feeder. They also get heavy work here and there at kind of a more normal frequency. Heavy presses, heavy extensions, heavy weighted chin-ups, heavy this and that. But every day they get a super pump, okay? And I found that what this seems to do is, and you can read the science about blood flow restriction training, it causes an emergency response in the cells of the muscle, so they realize they have to get bigger so that they don't explode from the threat of pressure that they experience when you do blood flow restriction training. Plus creates oxygen deprivation that makes all the muscle fibers think that they're doing anaerobic work even when you're doing a lightweight set with high reps. So let's say I occlude my arms and bang out 100 tricep extensions. Somewhere in those reps, the triceps started believing that that's heavy weight using enough weight that it's a more anaerobic process for all those reps. So there's multiple means by which blood flow restriction occlusion training causes gains to occur in a muscle by other mechanisms, other than the normal mechanisms where you just tear up the fibers or create new nucleus cells. And it probably does that too because I'm doing it high rep. But anyway, I'd recommend Googling, learning about blood flow restriction or occlusion training, and learning how to do arm feeders every day with it, because the fascia has stretched in my arms, which has allowed more growth. The circulation has increased from having all the vessels stretched every day. It's like now my arms hold more blood, or they allow more blood in them. Plus that force feeding causes things to have to grow and expand to a certain degree. So this has really helped me. It's been a key, and it might be the same for you. Much love. Next question. Do you eat anything like celery with the jar of peanut butter to keep it from sticking to the inside of your mouth? Yeah, I prefer to. If I'm going to eat a bunch of peanut butter, I like celery with it. I like celery anyway, but that's, more ideal way. There's times when I'm out of celery and I'll just, choke it down anyway with a spoon. I don't let that stop me, but yes, I prefer to have celery if I'm eating peanut butter. Much love. Next question. Do you know if taking a break from training is a good idea to reset mTOR? If so, you have any guidelines? Now, I suspect there's something to that, but because I haven't experimented with that myself, I don't really want to say. It seems like when it comes to mTOR, you want to go over to Team 3D Alpha in the description box and check out his page, his channel, because he's really into the scientific components like mTOR and everything else, and understands a lot of that physiology in muscles and how to trigger it. So I'd rather direct you to him with a question like that, because he'll probably be somewhat of an expert on that subject. I feel like the dude's really educated himself, probably. So I like to give credit where it's due and not pretend to be the guy who knows things that he doesn't. I mean, I could take a guess, but I'd rather not. I prefer to only speak on things I really have real experience and good reasons for what I'm saying. So that's what I'd recommend. Much love. How tall are you, Nether? 6'2". Next question. Much love. Any tips for transcending to a less sedentary lifestyle? I got a manual labor job to help with cardio while I train for muscle building on the side, but I realized I don't care about it that much, and it keeps me from wanting to train, and I just get tired and don't train. I want to feel like I have real vitality and not tired and sleepy all fucking day. Yeah. Well, remember, if you approach this from the side where you're kind of beating up on yourself, like, oh man, I should have worked harder, I should have done more today, what's happening there is you're already feeling unmotivated about the things you're doing, and then when you add guilt or condemnation on top of that, of course, it just gets way worse. You get way heavier, way less energy. So, as far as your manual labor job, I'd say conserve energy and plan your workout. Think about your workout and do some ritual with your workout. I don't care if it involves taking certain substances. I don't care what it takes. Build a shrine where you're going to work out, and it doesn't have to be a location. I just mean build a ritual. Build something that you look forward to, that when your working day's over, your workout is like a separate dimension of power that you move into, okay? Design the experience to be something that you totally look forward to instead of something that you have to force yourself through when you don't feel like it. Make it fun for yourself, okay? So you can have your passion turn back on. It's probably fine that you're not really wasting any passion at a job you don't care about all day, because you don't need to run your adrenals and wear yourself out. But as the working day is coming close to an end and you're getting closer to workout time, you know, if you can start fantasizing and visualizing and building that energy and that anticipation and that joy, and find a way again to make your workouts your own special ritual, that you customize it. All the things you do before and after your workout become so enriching, and there's a lot of self-care and self-appreciation, and you really make it yours. If you can do that and make that special place, your workout becomes a meditation of sorts. Not a meditation where you're sitting still just breathing, obviously. It becomes like a power meditation. But it's like to see it as a spiritual practice, to see it as a shamanic energy practice, to see it as a different, totally, entirely different part of yourself and a different dimension of energy that you access. That's what I believe you're really looking for here. That's what's really helped me. A long time ago, my early days working out, I just worked out because I like the pain or something, you know, and I would force myself through workouts that made me sick, and I was sick a lot of the time from overtraining. In other words, I wasn't really doing it from a joyful place. I was just doing it from a brutal discipline place. But I found now that I've gotten past my fears about weights and realized I can pretty much do anything except I can. I can be as free as I choose to. So now I don't stress anymore. I've long since proven to myself that I'm one of the most disciplined people I've ever heard of. I've proven to myself this and that. So what I'm getting at here is, when I go to do a workout now, it's not like some harsh thing I have to put myself through. It's actually like a joy, okay? It's become a joy. Because over the years, my thoughts about it, my beliefs about it, and therefore the energy and the way of thinking that I bring to it is very different. It doesn't drain me. It just empowers me. Granted, when you're really tired and run down, you haven't been getting enough sleep, then everything's hard, workouts included. So that's different. You know, good sleep is important, so that you feel like things are doable instead of feeling like things are so damn hard. But yeah, off the top of my head, that's what comes up to share, because I found that if your workout can be this special, different personal zone that you get to go into that takes you out of the rest of your world, you can find a whole different supply of energy and a whole different element to who you are to take into that, to bring that energy into your workouts, okay? Much love. Next question. If weighted push-ups are superior to bench press, then would you say weighted calisthenics like weighted pulls and other common body weight exercises are best to give maximum conditioning but also maximum size gains? Yeah. All other things being equal, let's say you're doing weighted pulls versus this guy over here who's doing Yates rows, which are my two favorite. Let's say you're doing weighted chin-ups and this guy's doing Yates rows, which are my two favorite lat builders. Now, let's say you're hitting each of you are hitting your lats equally hard, and you're going to get the same amount of stimulation and growth. Still, though, the person doing the weighted chin-ups and swinging their body and have to balance everything through space is becoming more athletic. They're all other things being equal, they will simply just be more athletic. That strength and muscle will be more useful in real world activities. So I think you've got it here in the way you've worded it. What I was alluding to in that weighted push-ups are better than bench press video Now, this wouldn't be true for pure bodybuilders. They'd be equal. And a lot of bodybuilders are just going to find bench press easier. So that's what they're going to pick to get equal amounts of chest gains. But all other things being equal, if you'll do weighted push-ups with the same amount of force and stimulation on your chest, you'll get more core training, but also because you're moving through space, again, your body's going to have better control in the real world. So let's say you took one person who's done bench press their whole life and one person who's done weighted push-ups their whole life, and say they've developed themselves to an equal size and strength. The one that did the weighted push-ups his whole life, if they got in a wrestling match with each other, all other things being equal, that one would be the superior athlete, for sure. Okay? You know, so that's just why I say it's superior. Muscle stimulus is muscle stimulus. So as far as building muscle mass, stimulus is stimulus. It doesn't matter a whole lot. It just matters how hard you dig into the muscle. But the other effects, the athletic improvements from doing movements where you're moving through space instead of just laying on something and moving a piece of metal, it is superior in that sense, yeah. As well as the conditioning effect is a little more so when you have to control and balance all your other muscles. It uses more oxygen, it uses more energy. And some of these move through space movements, like say weighted lunges, that can be very great conditioning. If you get a challenging weight and your legs are in good enough shape that you can do a lot of walking weighted lunges, not only will will your ass and hamstrings and quads get all tore up if you do it right, but also your cardio can get boosted a lot. Weighted lunges uphill, of course, intense cardio, very intense on the glutes and hams. Weighted lunges downhill, still pretty good cardio, and intense on the quads. So yes, you can definitely get conditioning, agility, and mass gains if you use exercises that train all those things instead of just building more muscle mass, you know. And nothing wrong with that. Like, I like leg press machines and Smith machines and things that just help you build muscle mass. There's nothing wrong with those, but athletic movements are even more important to me overall. Much love. Next question. You've got a few questions here. All right. Number 1. I train jiu-jitsu 3 to 4 times a week, and I don't know how to prioritize lifting without messing up my Brazilian jiu-jitsu performance. Should I try something like Sam or Neil does, training once a week? By the way, I'm a novice. I was thinking lift once every Friday because I take the weekend off. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good idea. If you can learn to get a good, effective, efficient, and Sam's a great guy to watch, of course, on some methods to do that, to train your whole body quickly and intensely in one day. And you will need those 2 days rest at least, because the way he trains, it really digs into your recovery. So you're definitely wise to put it on the end of your week there. I can't see any way that I would like to tell you to do different. I think you've pretty much figured out your own next move, okay? Next question. As a grappler, what supplements do you recommend for performance, energy, and joint health? Okay. Performance and energy. Anything that improves your stamina, like oxygen carrying capacity. Could be cacao, could be resveratrol. Cacao makes some people nauseous when grappling, so that's something you have to experiment with. These plant-based performance boosters, any of the adaptogens, Mucuna pruriens, which will increase your dopamine levels so you're more confident in your brain, which is the biggest thing on competition day, as well as lower your estrogen a little, increase your testosterone and growth hormone, all to high natural levels while improving brain chemistry. So that's a good alpha, overall sort of an alpha energy adaptogen, Mucuna pruriens, MUCUNA space PRURIENS. Google it and check it out. Ashwagandha has been shown to improve, VO2 max, speed, ability to repeat, to do more reps, um, recovery between sprints, all stuff that's, of course, incredibly pertinent to grappling. Uh, yeah, I'd just start with those two, but then look into adaptogenic herbs in general. They tune all your performance to just be more efficient through your whole body. As far as joint health, my favorites are Go2 Cola, which is another adaptogen, which is awesome, which will just help your body recover and respond and handle all this stress more efficiently and more effectively. And diatomaceous earth, super good for hair, skin, bones, joints, detox, circulation, which can help again. When your blood circulates easier, because the silica and the diatomaceous earth coats your circulatory system, it makes it more like, it adds to the viscosity or something, you could say, to where your blood actually slides through easier. And when your blood's pumping around your body easier, your heart can pump more blood faster with less effort and less fatigue and less oxygen debt, right? So that's another performance booster. What else for joints? There's many herbs out there that are specific to healing bones and joints and stuff. But it's really about how many you want to stack from there. Laxogenin, this plant-based performance and booster of sorts I've been taking, it improves joint health on a lot of people. I've heard a lot of positive reports. Laxogin. It's not a drug. It's a part of a plant. So don't be freaked out when you see some dumbass company advertising it, pretending it's like a fucking steroid or something. It doesn't even bind to androgen receptors. It has nothing to do with being a hormone or a steroid. It simply causes various systems in your body to work better and stress hormones to be lower, and therefore your body has a net increase in its recovery and overall anabolic capacity. It improves insulin sensitivity, which is really good for me. That's probably why I respond well to it. Anyway, those are the things I think of off the top of my head for joints. Turmeric's good. Turmeric and black pepper consumed with a meal that contains oil. It's very anti-inflammatory and healing and good for joints. All right, next question. This isn't a question, but I heard you mention survival tips in the past, and one of the best things anyone could do for survival is stockpile raw honey and bee pollen. Yeah, because they'll keep forever and they're super nutritious. And they can heal wounds too. You can put that raw honey in an awful wound in a survival situation and it'll disinfect it and heal you much faster. Also, it would be a good idea to keep a Berkey water filter in your house for survival. Yeah, definitely. Oh, cool. Thank you for sharing. Next question. Yo, how to be big as fuck. I'm talking like Mike Mentzer, Marvin Eater type of jackness. Huge and dramatic silence. Also, simultaneously be as agile and conditioned as an MMA fighter, boxer, or wrestler. What training style or program ideas would you implement for one who wants to be jacked but truly fit for a zombie apocalypse of sorts? Well, really, I think this question's in line with the question you asked a few questions back about switching out all your conventional bodybuilding powerlifting exercises for more functional exercises. Ones that teach you movements. For example, if you want to be a grappler, the way a Jefferson deadlift position is, that's or the way a weighted lunge is, that's how you shoot in on somebody basically. So having strength out of those positions with one leg forward and one leg back, that's real athleticism. That's what you need. So you don't snap your shit the first time you're in a real athletic scenario, dynamic movements, speed. You want to train with speed also. Don't do your stuff slow. Do it fast. If you're talking about being real athletic and agile, to me the word agile means a combination of speed and strength and endurance and agility, coordination, stamina. Agile to me means athletic. I could almost insert that word in the same place. So you want to train for functional movements where you're moving your body with the weight, the same way you would be if somebody's on your back that you're fixing to throw. And then You want to do it explosively. On the positive part of the rep, do everything explosive. That'll teach you real power, like Bill Kazmaier was always pointing out. You lift a heavy weight slow, you'll always be slow. You lift a heavy weight fast, now you're powerful. So all of that, combining all those things, as well as you know, you need sports specific conditioning. You know, whether it's MMA or boxing or grappling or whatever, there's certain positions and moves your body has to do a lot when you do those things. So those are what you need to be focused on and so forth. So I think that's off the top of my head. Kids are distracting me, yelling at each other downstairs. Much love. Next question. Would you agree that by getting a thicker back, you automatically get a wider one? I came to this conclusion by looking at all the bodybuilders with good backs, and all the ones that had thickness had good width, but some that had wide back didn't have that much thickness. Yeah, as a generalization, I'd say that's pretty accurate, and I think it's because almost any noob can kind of build some width on the back just by doing like wide grip pull-ups. But to actually fully develop your back, to get thickness, you have to be much better at training back. You can't just do some wide grip pull-ups, you know. To get back thickness, which is why I invented nether rows, because as far as I'm concerned, there hasn't been enough exercises out there to make it easy enough or to make it right to the point when it comes to getting back thickness. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you train your back well enough to get a thick back, you're going to have a wide back too. Now, does that mean that a person with a thick back couldn't have an even wider back? No, they probably could if they focus on more of the moves to hit the outside of the lats. But like you say, when you're developed enough in your back musculature to have thickness, you're going to have a certain amount of width too, for sure. Yeah, to me, it's a more... That's simply being at a higher level when you have back thickness rather than just width. Okay. Much love. Next question. My pushing muscles are way stronger and bigger. Stronger by at least 50%, bigger by at least 30% on my left side. You can even feel the muscle density difference if you touch them. My pulling muscles are bigger and stronger on my right side. My right lat is a lot bigger than the left. I've been working a lot on fascia, soft tissue release, and stretching, and it's helping a lot, but there's a massive issue with my right big lat and small, weaker shoulder that's giving me pain through my body. And also made my right neck and glute weaker as a result. I also feel the right side of my body less. I feel the right side of my body less. What do I do? The doctors here are dumb as shit because it's a third world corrupt country and they just tell you, oh, it's nothing, don't worry about it, just rest up. Much love and appreciation to you, man. You're changing my life for the better. Well, thanks, friend. It's my honor. It's my honor. This is pretty complicated. You know, you could consider another better upgrade so I could really put some time into approaching this the best I could, but honestly, I've never heard of something exactly like this. That's a lot of imbalances. If you know you have a small and weak shoulder, I would definitely bring that up. If one lat's smaller than the other, I'd do one-sided lat stuff. I should probably do a video on that, but you can actually hang with your feet kind of wide, maybe on a bench, Australian pull-up style or even normal pull-up style, and use your feet not to take any more weight off than necessary, but just to balance you so you don't spin and get your body in a weird position. And you can do one-armed isolated lat pulls all you want, one-armed rows and all that kind of stuff. So, and your neck, I bring up the smaller side. That's how I do it. Continue where you have tight spots. Keep getting that deep tissue work done. Sounds like some serious adhesions have had one section on one side so tight that it can't get the same blood flow and it hasn't been getting the same results, and you've been evolving on that path for a while, so now you've noticed these imbalances. So keep doing what you're doing and then bring up the weak sides, bring them up to even size and strength. A lot of times pain that a person has is just because an overdeveloped muscle is tighter it has more tension even when it's relaxed because there's just more there. And somewhere in the bones and nerves, that uneven pressure causes something to just get irritated over time and it just starts hurting. So if you bring up the weaker side and balance out the tension at rest, that can definitely help a lot with things like that, taking away pain and so forth. Much love. Next question. You mentioned your 18 months of nucleus overload type training. What do you think about a full body everyday routine with just one light 3 to 5 minute set per muscle group? Sounds brilliant. Sounds brilliant. Kind of like the way I do that video, the nether ending set for lateral delts. If you're talking something like that for each muscle group, yeah, that totally work. This is basically what you recommended for one muscle group, but making it your main training each day because it's light and doesn't have much fatigue in it. Let me know your thoughts on running this for a few months. You can totally do that. You'll probably, the training itself, it's a little more challenging than you might think because of how much burn you end up facing, just the pain of the burn. And doing that in all your muscle groups each day, that's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of repetitive dedication. But if you have the passion to do it because it will pay off. And like you say, it's not really draining resources. There's a temporary burn in the muscles, but once you're done training, that's over. And you're not very drained because, like you say, you're not using your nervous system very hard. You're not causing your body to have to go through any big energy output. So that can work. I think it's kind of brilliant, man. I like it. Definitely. Much love. Next question. You showed your Lugol solution 2% iodine on your supplement reveal. Do you know if 2% versus 5% matters? Seems like the same brand has a better deal on 5%, so what are your thoughts? Yeah, sure, you can get the 5%. Just make sure you dilute it. Even the 2% can kind of burn a little bit, like in your mouth if you put it in there straight. That's why I recommend that one. I don't want somebody to get the 5% and try to take a small swig and like burn their throat or something. But you can totally use it. Just dilute it in a bit of water. You can just take like 1 drop of that a day. So like you say, very affordable. It's a great thing to do for your health on a radioactive planet like this. Awesome question. Much love. Another, can you teach us how to manipulate an insulin spike for muscle growth? If it's complicated, can you provide some source to where you learned it? Seem like what I find on the internet is bro science. Okay. Now, first of all, I don't do this. I don't worry about insulin spikes because I tend towards insulin resistance anyway. So my lifestyle is based on not spiking insulin. All right. But I do know where to direct you. In the information box below, James Tiny Best, Gorilla with a Cause. That guy has a video on his channel where he showed himself using his glucose meter. He showed which carbs he took in, and then what workout he did and what his glucose went to show you that he used it all up so it was causing no health problems. That guy is really good at it. James Tiny Vest, Gorilla with a Cause. He's a really nice guy too, so seems really cool. Check him out below and look for his video on, I don't remember what the video is called off the top of my head, but just look around his videos, you'll find it. Much love. Next question. Any ways of training for a one-arm chin-up? Yeah, sure. I'm strong with negatives, but seem to be plateauing. Thoughts on frequency for these two? Okay, so if you're saying you're strong enough to maybe hold yourself, but you're not strong enough to do the positive part of it yet, use your other hand and just assist just a little, okay? Just a little, and get those positive reps. Do the negative on your own with the one hand, and then pull as hard as you can and add just as much as you need with the other hand to help you do the positive part. And start building up. Maybe you get 1 rep the first day. Maybe within a month you can do 10 reps that way, okay? And then you'll be able to do a few reps without the assistance of your other hand. That's the way I would go about it. I love one-arm pull-ups. I think they hit the lats in a special way, and they just look really cool. And it's a great way to rub into professional juiced-up bodybuilders how weak they really are for their size. I didn't just say that. I'm actually hoping there's professional bodybuilders on here. So if I talk too much shit, feel free to speak up. I actually have nothing against people using drugs and being pro bodybuilders and going a different path than me. So please don't think you guys got to be silent. Please don't think I won't work with you. I'm not judgmental. I'm not one of these people that thinks that my path is the path and anybody on a different path is wrong. I don't think that at all. So just so you know, I embrace everybody, whichever things you put in your body or not, and I'd always be happy to help you with training and adding more, getting more bang for your buck on your training, okay? But yeah, as far as one-handed chin-ups, that's how I would train it, my friends. All right, much love. Next question. Hey, Nether got a few bodybuilding questions. 1. How do you target the lowest fibers of the lats effectively? I found the Gironda sternum chin-up, right, to be effective, but I'm looking for an alternative. Also, how could you change your insertion points? Well, start with part 1. I got to say it again. Yates rows. Learning how to do a Yates row correctly. And I'd say go underhand the way Dorian did before he tore his bicep off. Keep it in mind, the tension on a bicep is far beyond any sort of curls when you're doing a Yates row, but it also hits the lower lats really hard when you're doing it right. And doing it right involves pulling the bar back and dragging it up the front of your legs into your crotch. So you're actually pushing backwards as you're rowing the weight. There's plenty of good demo videos out there, but probably find one by Dorian if you can, showing how to properly do a Yates row. It's the best lower lat builder. That's why he took his back to a 3D level nobody'd seen up to that point. He invented an exercise. Haha. That's how you do it, guys. You invent an exercise that's better than what anybody's using right now, and then they go, holy shit, how'd your back get so thick? Okay. And then as far as changing your insertion points, meditation, subliminals, mind over matter, faith, true internal change does make external changes possible, but I can't go into a 3-hour rant or a meditation on that on this channel. But yeah, I believe it's possible. I believe it's happened. I've seen people's noses change, so that's like cartilage changing, so it's possible. And if you're open to it and you can clear out whatever exists within you that doesn't believe it's possible that you picked up in this world, that's really the only thing stopping it from happening, is all the things you've learned since you got here. Next question. How do you isolate your lower back and not train your glutes? I haven't found a single exercise for this. Lower back with no glutes. I think you have, because you're talking about doing those chin-ups, right? Shouldn't be using your glutes much doing those. I'm not sure if Gironda chin-ups are the same as my feline chin-ups. Check out my Nether exercises playlist. Check out the 2 videos on feline pull-ups and see if that's the same thing. What else? Lower lats. You know what? I'm probably going to go ahead and invent a variation of the Nether row, or show it, find the right angle, and do a demo video on that pretty soon about how you can shift it from a rhomboid trap area builder to a lat builder. But for now, master the Yates row, man. And you can do seated Yates rows with your head leaned against something padded. That's what I've done in the past when I didn't want to be putting in a bunch more volume on my over back based on the other training I'd been doing. So I would do a seated Yates row, and this will strengthen the front of your neck too. I'd put something padded in front of me where I put my head against it at the right angle, and I'm doing the Yates rows under my legs, sitting on a bench. And that way, the harder you're able to push with your front of your neck to hold yourself, the less of your lower back you have to use. So, in getting a stronger and stronger neck, you can take a lot of weight and really eliminate lower back. Okay? Hopefully I just explained that well. If not, hit me up later and let me know. P.S. I love you, no homo. I love you too, no homo, my friend. Alright. Next question. Hey, Nether, any tips on secret sauce for building lower back strength and mobility? I'm not the best at this. I don't have the most mobile lower back. Strong, but not mobile. I work an office job, so I'm forced to sit in a chair 8+ hours a day, and most evenings I spend even more time sitting in front of a computer. Yeah, people that sit a lot, sit in their car, sit in their cubicle, have too short of hamstrings, for one thing. So, stiff leg deadlifts, is my idea. And I'm not talking going heavy here. I'm talking about using it to use some weight and do weighted reps so you're stretching your hamstrings longer as you're building them. And as you'll find that as their range of motion gets more natural and longer, you'll feel like your lower back has a lot more range of motion because you'll be able to fold much easier. And when your hamstrings aren't tight, that leaves you more slack to where you can curve your lower back. If your butt's rounded like this, these hammies are tight. If they get longer, it gives you the room to now be able to keep your back in a proper position. So most people, believe it or not, and do your lower back stretches, please. Everybody should do their back and core stretching and all that kind of stuff. But realize that most people dealing with this, it's actually short hamstrings, especially when you sit a lot, okay? I know from experience, and I did manage to lengthen mine a lot, and it's amazing what a difference it makes. So yeah, I'm thinking some version of something similar to a stiff-legged deadlift. You don't need to worry about maxing out or going crazy heavy. It's more about getting those hamstrings lengthened as you're doing the rep. As you go down to the lowest part of it, really stretch them good. In each workout, look to stretch them a little bit further, and you'll find that mobility much improves, as well as body posture, function, and everything. Tight hammies are a plague in a society that sits in cubicles and cars. I try to maintain good posture, but I like to step up my game and actively work against the damage from extensive sitting. Yeah. You're only doing back extensions, hyperextensions. But I guess rowing and Jefferson's involve lower back to some extent. Yeah. But again, I really think lengthening your hamstrings here is going to really help you out. That's my honest take on that. Much love. Next question. What kind of coffee do you use for coffee enemas? Could you give basic recipe on how to prepare the mixture? Okay, I'll give my basics even though it's not what you would read online, because we do it a little different around this house. But as far as the coffee, make sure you get something organic. No point in shoving a bunch of pesticides up your ass, not if you care about your endocrine glands, because this stuff goes directly into the bloodstream. So make sure it's something organic. I get medium roast. From what I've read, medium is recommended. Or even dark roast is recommended by some. But I use medium. It's recommended by the most. I get it at Costco, medium roast organic. I think it's like, the brand is something Colony. I can't remember. It's like a yellow bag. But it doesn't really matter. Any medium organic coffee is good. Now I'll use a light roast once in a while because it gives you this like real up fun sort of a high. So I do that here and there for fun. Gets more euphoric, you get more of a high off of it. But for long-term overall health, for whatever reason, it's recommended that you use mostly medium roast. And definitely go organic. Now as far as how I make it, I take a big old pot, like one of these full-size pots that you put on your stove, like a large one, approximately it'll probably at least 12 inches circular opening and at least 12 inches tall, if not more, maybe 14 by 14, let's say. And I'll fill it with, you got to use, non-chemical, you got to use some source of pure water or close to it as you can get. And then I have a coffee grinder. Shit, see, I don't measure things by like actual measurement units. I know by sight how I do it. My little coffee grinder's maybe about this big. The grinding chamber's this big, okay? So circular chamber about this thick, like the size of a can of tuna, okay? A large can of tuna is about how big the area that my coffee grinder actually grinds up beans. And I'll do 5 of those full and dump them into that large pot full of water. I'll bring it up to a boil and turn it off as soon as it's starting to boil. Sometimes even before it's boiling, even when it's just steaming and it's starting to bubble. That's when I'll turn it off. And then the next day, I'll actually bring it up almost to a boil again. And same with the next day and the next day. Now you don't have to. You can keep it cold, and you can even, it's not suggested you put it in you cold. It can cause weird discomforts and gut spasms and stuff. So you want it room temperature, or something close to body temperature when you actually use it. But I just like to make a large amount like that because I don't want to make it every single day. So I make like, 5, 6 days worth at a time or something. Okay. That's my way of doing it. But you can easily Google how to prepare a coffee enema and see detailed descriptions showing you each little piece of equipment you need. You need a few little things you got to buy, a little plastic bucket and tube, and just a few little things. It's simple science, and once you know how to do it, it's real easy. Takes, you got to practice a few times, and then it gets real easy. Much love. Next question. What's your thoughts on sun baths and bodybuilders and it being able to boost testosterone and the nutrients we get from the sun? Also, your concept of a higher power. You sound so spiritual in the way you talk. Yeah, sun is great. Sun is one of the 4 elements of your natural vitality. It will raise testosterone. It will lower estrogen. It will strengthen your bones and tendons. It will make you feel better, more dopamine. It will charge up your immune system. Now, all these things are good up to a certain degree, and then, of course, too much sun, you start hurting yourself. So everybody's got their limits on how long they should be in the sun. But if you don't go beyond your personal limit and burn yourself and do damage, it's very beneficial to your vitality and well-being in a huge variety of ways. Transmitters, how you feel, how you think, hormone profile, reducing body fat, immune system is a big one. Real vitamin D does a lot to boost the immune system, and people are deficient in it. So, yeah, super awesome in a lot of ways. My concept of a higher power. Well, I can spend all eternity expanding upon my concept of a higher power, but to summarize a little bit here, to me, ultimately, all things are from the same thing, and that same thing has spawned forth from itself infinite different versions of itself, really, in different forms, which are allowed to then, through their own free will, evolve and change and recreate themselves over and over throughout all eternity, however they see fit to do. That's the game that's really going on here. That is creation, because there was one, infinite and all and alone, with its own personal perfection for an entire eternity, and that one decided to become much more than one in order for relationship and everything that we call life and creation. And understand, this little planet, this little human planet, this little speck of sand out here, this isn't even the tip of the iceberg of what exists, okay? So creation, life, existence is infinitely bigger than man currently wants to even realize, apparently. Much more exciting and bigger and better and awesomer than anything you've been told on this planet. But yeah, as far as the higher power, we are all the higher power. We are all from the higher power. And yet there is also still something you could say which is the ultimate, which is aware of everything, which is experiencing all of this through all of us and experiencing all things through everything everywhere, in an infinite supply of universes and dimensions and beyond. So that's a little tidbit of my higher power relationship thereof. All right, much love. Next question. Hey, Nether, does nucleus overload work while in a caloric deficit? I would imagine so, yeah. Because we're talking about adding nucleuses here. We're not talking about, you don't even have to add muscle mass to add nucleuses. So it's not a mass gaining thing. It's like programming a new capacity into the muscle. So to me, it should still work. Yes, definitely. I would bet on it. I would bet big money on it that it still works. Does it have a better muscle retention effect than regular training? Thank you for all the videos. Really helped me a lot. That's an awesome question, and you're very welcome. I think it does, because if you go over, and again, it's in the description box below, if you check out some of the video on Team 3D Alpha's channel, the reason he even figured out about nucleus overload was observation. He noticed that people who had a job, for example, where they did a certain manual labor with a certain muscle their whole life or for many years, Even skinny guys that hardly ate everything, that one muscle would be super developed. So yes, when you have way more nucleus in a muscle, it's going to retain more mass. It's going to stay more developed than the other muscles. Definitely. I knew a guy when I worked at the post office, janitor or something, and he had the gnarliest, biggest calves with the most veins popping out of him I had ever seen. And this was just some skinny, fat guy who never worked out. But what he did, he had a job in New York City. I believe that's what he told me, and he worked up on power lines and power poles, and his job had him standing on his toes on the edge of something all day. And because of that, his calves were the freakiest thing I've ever seen. Like, they would put any pro bodybuilder I've seen to shame. And he didn't try to build these muscles. That's just what happened because he was on them all day, every day, for years. He did a career that way. And this was way after his career, and he didn't do any of that anymore where he had to be up standing on his toes, and he still had the gnarliest calves I've ever seen by far. Like, they didn't look like they belonged on his body. It was crazy. So yes, I absolutely believe when you have a lot more nucleus, you have a lot more muscle retention. Brilliant, brilliant question. Awesome. Much love. If you had to pick one exercise or two, if you really had to, instead of doing the regular low bar back squat, what would you pick? Dude, I gave up regular squats, so this isn't even hypothetical for me. I'm proving a point. Eventually people will figure that out. So, you're saying, what would I do to replace the low bar back squat? Okay. Sorry, my kids are interrupting me screaming downstairs. Okay, so what I've done, Jefferson rack pull / terminal knee extension. Sam or Neil uses that move too. It's an amazing move. It's a great way to train your back and your legs at the same time. Nordic curls for hams. There's a lot of ways to blow up legs. You could do a pre-fatigue, something similar to a leg extension with just light weights or even bands. Do 100 reps to get the quads pre-fatigued, and then go grab a trap bar and put your heels elevated on a board with your feet pushed narrow together. Do trap bar squats. I mean, your legs will think you're crazy doing stuff like this, intensity techniques that are way beyond what you're going to do with a regular set of squats. I don't care what anybody says. When I blew my legs up, gained like 2 inches on them in, I don't know, 3 months, let's say, all I did was barbell hack squats behind the back with my heels elevated in a very short range of motion. I just stayed up in the top half of the range of motion. And I did high volume and high weight with my heels elevated. Made my quads huge. If I would have given my hamstrings equal focus at the time, I wouldn't have developed such a knee imbalance, so I had to give that up. And then my legs shrunk, and now I'm rebuilding them in healthier, smarter, more balanced ways. But now, as far as just like mass, there's been bodybuilders out there who chose leg press over squats because they wanted to have the X shape. They wanted to have a narrow waist and big ass legs because it looks cooler. And they knew doing squats, in order to progress at squats, you end up lifting enough weights that your core's big and blocky. So in order to have a better look as a bodybuilder, they chose to go all leg press, and they ended up with every bit as big a legs as anybody who did the squats, and yet their legs looked bigger because their waist was smaller. Weighted lunges uphill, weighted lunges downhill, Bulgarian split squats. I mean, there's just a million things, man. A million things. Do Jefferson squats. They're just plain superior if you're not afraid to build your back at the same time that you're working legs. So, what else? There's probably half a dozen things I'm not even thinking of right now. But yeah, sticking to regular squats instead of using all these other things is like, it's kind of like a mechanic who only uses a crescent wrench because he believes it's the only thing he needs, instead of having a real wrench set. So you got specific wrenches for each thing. For those of you who wrench on things, you might get my parable there. Yes, definitely. I'll show the best pair of legs I've ever had when I'm ready to reveal them. I'm building them up in secret right now. I'm doing it all without a single damn standard squat. Much love. Next question. Hey Nether. First of all, thank you for the content. Really appreciate it a lot. Well, thanks, man. You're very welcome. I have a problem I'm trying to solve, and I thought maybe you could have advice for me. My woman often suffers from migraine and severe headaches, and while she says it's genetic and there's nothing you can do about it, I just don't believe that. I mean, there's probably a reason why migraine is much more prevalent in more developed countries. Yep. And genetics is not the answer if you ask me. And you're right. But all that matters is if she can accept that idea, because if she believes there's nothing to be done about it, it's not gonna change. Maybe you know something about the topic and a way to help her. If not, that's fine too. I will just keep looking then, because neither her nor me want to just take pain medication, which is what the doctors will prescribe. Thanks for taking your time, and much love to you and your family, Nicholas. Much love to you and yours as well, my friend. Let me think. Now, I've never had migraine issues. I've had a few in my life. Strangely enough, I've had silent migraines where you just get this weird visual blurring thing where you can hardly see, but there's no pain. I've only had that a few times, and it's probably due to a head injury or something, but my mom always had migraines, and she didn't take care of her health. And now, later in life, because she's been forced to take care of her health, she doesn't have near as many migraines. Now, I don't know what all your woman has been exposed to. Does she have mercury fillings in her teeth? Is she drinking city water? Is she taking man-made toxic medications? Does she drink enough real water? What's her diet like? You know? There's so many factors, you know, and I don't know off the top of my head. I don't have a list of things to heal migraines because I never had to deal with it. I wish I did. I wish I had something for you off the top of your head. Anybody who's had success eliminating or reducing migraines, please post on here for our friend here, for his woman, because it would sure be nice if somebody didn't have to suffer things that are not necessary. There are esoteric reasons for migraines too, but I don't know if you really want to get into that right now. So if you do, you might want to talk to me privately about that. Much love. Next question. Got any tips for lack of communication? Yeah. Communicate better, my friend. The way you wrote that, I'm not even sure it is a lack of communication, because I don't know if you mean you're having trouble communicating or if people around you don't communicate with you well enough. I'm assuming you mean yourself, especially from the way you wrote this. You have to believe in yourself enough to know that you deserve to be taking up the space you do and express yourself. It doesn't matter if they get it or not. Expressing yourself is good for your health. It's good for your heart. If you don't, there's consequences to holding everything in through your whole life. It's not good for you, okay? So find a way to communicate what you need to and what matters to you. And you may find that you have judgments against the things that you want to communicate. You may hold back communicating because you think it sounds wrong or stupid or weak or this or that or some other judgment you have against what it is you feel the need to say. But your heart doesn't care about your mind's judgments that it learned in this world. It doesn't give a shit. Your heart cares about the real you. So if you need to express something, you got to find a way to express it, okay? Make your thoughts known in the situations that it's bothering you that you don't make your thoughts known, okay? And you know what those are. Much love, my friend. Next question. Hey, Nether, I'm 6 foot, 230 pounds, and I've been lifting for 9 years, and I've been running for 5 years. How well does lifting and running mix, both in moderation from your experience? I'd say they mix well, yeah. The running, you know, it's gives you a lot of circulation, helps with conditioning. And really in the legs, I feel like it'll bring out more definition. Just all those little mini reps you get when you're out there bouncing on your leg muscles, you know. If any, should I devote equal time training to both to not hinder the progress of each other? Thanks in advance. Okay, interesting question. And you're welcome in advance. To me, in my experience, because I have done quite a mixture of those things, when When it comes to running, it's based on my goal. Now, if you're going to compete in running, if it really matters and you need to be the best possible running times, this won't apply exactly to you because you're going to need to put in a little more of your percentage into the running part of it. But for me, I was just using running for conditioning and because I just like to go around and look at stuff. So I would do the running in much more moderation. I found that, and again, this might be different for everybody, but when it comes to cardio conditioning, say, and running conditioning, let's say I test myself how fast I can reasonably run, say, 5 miles. What I find that is even doing that once a week or sometimes even 3 times a month is enough for me to progress at it. I actually become better at it. And to me, if I'm progressing at something that I don't even have to be the best at, but I'm progressing at it that easy, I just keep it like that because it's like, why put in all those extra hours of running and use all that extra energy if I'm getting mad gains in my cardio just doing it this often, you know? So that's the way I gauge it. Because when it comes to muscle training, you have to do so many different exercises and schemes and methods and angles and protocols and rotations and this and that. You can only skimp so much on muscle training because you got a lot of different muscles on your body that all deserve attention. Whereas with running, it's just one thing. It's just running. So a running session once a week, to me, is plenty for keeping your running good. Then again, like I say, if that's not the case for an individual, I have heard people that swore to me if they don't run practically every day, they start losing their cardio. Now, I personally believe that's no more than a limiting belief system that's just controlling their reality because I haven't had that experience at all, like I said. But that's my thoughts on it. I do the running as minimal as I'm getting better at it and apply the extra energy more into the weights to get more gains there because that's something you can't really skimp on, you know? I mean, you can, but if you want to get more gains in at a certain point, that gets more challenging. And you need to be able to put more mental attention and energy as well as sometimes time, sometimes not time, but definitely more energy into the muscle progression as time goes on, right? So keeping other forms of training efficient and right to the point, not overdoing the other forms of training is always the way I work around that. Much love. Next question. Is my weightlifting development going to affect my future kids to be stronger and more muscular? Yes, it will. It will. I'm not sure if they've proved that yet or not. They will sooner or later, if they're being honest. But yes, it will. Definitely. Absolutely. I know from experience, my kids came out buff and strong and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. And I know for other reasons too. Yes, the current state of your genetics when you pass them on has a lot to do with the energy, the blueprint that's being formed for that child. Yeah. Awesome question. Much love. Next question. Hey Nether, what's your opinion about the conventional dishwashing, floor washing, cleaning liquids? Oh God. Awesome question. My dad likes to remind me often about this study he heard. Must have been, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago now, where this dude came on the radio and he goes, okay, today we're going to announce what's the most toxic career in the United States that shortens your life the most. And they had people calling in and guessing, right? And then after that little period was over, then they announced it. And they were all wrong because the most toxic and the best way to shorten your lifespan of a career in the United States was, and quite possibly still is, housewife. And you know why? Because of the cleaning chemicals. Now think about how asinine this is, guys. You can use food-grade hydrogen peroxide to kill every germ in the house and do zero harm to anything. But instead, somebody wants you pouring chemicals that destroy all your glands and give you diseases and ruin your brain and ruin your body and your kids crawl around licking that shit up. That's the world we live in. It is easy to clean your house affordably with better products that don't do any harm at all. But that's not mainstream. That's not what everybody's been trained to do, is it? We've been trained to rub chemicals in our armpits and all over our bodies and wear clothing that's been washed in chemicals that's just soaking right through our skins and destroying our endocrine system. It's madness. This is a brilliant question. All that conventional shit is death. It's a good way to give yourself cancer or something else. That's what it is. And your kids. Perfect place to put all that stuff. Right at home with mom and the kids. Thanks, society, for having our back, right? But that's the truth. You got to have your own back here. You got to be a light because there's not much of it. Awesome question. Much love. Have you heard about the rainbow? Oh, yeah, we did that one last time. Jaw pain, we did that last time. I'm a teenager and my lymphatic system is clogged for over 5 years. My doctor said I'm just sensitive, but I think that isn't the problem because I took antibiotics. I think I did this one. Just in case, I'm going to go over this one more time because this is serious. I took antibiotics. Am I toxified? Should I detoxify? Should I try to get my lymphatic system flowing by doing things like avoiding dairy? Yes. I haven't tried a lot. I'm just starting. Researching. Okay. You're already on the right track. Eliminate dairy. It's probably the single biggest food group that's hurting you that way. Get a cheap, small trampoline and start rebounding every day. It's the easiest exercise in the world. It's fun. It's relaxing. You can do it for literally 2 to 3 minutes, and it will very much help your lymph system. It's been proven to be the single best exercise for the lymph system that anybody's aware of. And this saves lives. It saves lives from incurable diseases, just rebounding on a trampoline. I'm not trying to scare you like you're on the verge of death, but you're very young and your body's all clogged up on you. That's not fun. That's not going anywhere good. So yeah, unclog it. Now, because you've taken antibiotics, you need to do research on the most high quality probiotics that exist and pick the brand you feel the strongest about and do a course. And this goes for everybody. Please make note of this. Anytime you resort to using antibiotics for anything, if you do, immediately afterwards take the very best course of probiotics you can find. If you don't do this, you just wiped out 70% of your immune system and you just invited candida to take over every organ in your body. That's the way this goes, okay? It's completely fucking idiotic that we have this thing we call science or healthcare, and it's not automatic to balance the yin with the yang. If we're going to put an antibiotic in you and kill everything biotic that's natural to you, the very least we could do is repopulate with healthy biotics before the unhealthy cockroach ones take over your entire body. Like some post-apocalyptic wasteland that's now yours to live in, you know. So yes, drop the dairy, get a rebounder and rebound, take probiotics, and also take them after any other course of antibiotics anybody ever talks you or forces you into or you resort to for whatever reason. And those things will very much help. Other things for the lymph system, if you want to get more serious down the line: coffee enemas, daily diatomaceous earth, and bentonite clay. Okay? Those would be 3 more awesome things to start pulling all the nasties out of you and claiming your vitality, health, and power. Good question, man. Awesome. Much love to you. Do you ever eat cheat meals? Not like full-on cheat meals. My little, I wouldn't call it a weakness, but my little thing, my little snack food is just organic popcorn. And I probably eat more of it than I should sometimes, so that's kind of a cheat meal because it's not really needed. But not really. I don't ever, from the time I was a teenager, the very first time that I heard that soda had soda pop, whatever you call it, depending on where you live, that those drinks have something in them that robs minerals from your bones, that was the last time I ever touched one of those. Even at a younger age, when I heard that candy rots your teeth out, realizing that your teeth are your vitality and your animal strength and they're your source of life and without them you're fucked. As a child, I was like, okay, no more sugar or candy or any of that bullshit ever. So, long ago I trained myself not to eat straight up junk food. I quit eating fast food as a teenager. And pizza was probably my last big weakness because dairy and gluten are horrible for me and I kind of had an addiction for it. Can't remember when I quit that, but it's been so long ago I don't even know. So no, I don't eat anything you could actually call a straight up cheat meal. I don't remember the last time I did any. I don't remember the last time I ate anything that I felt bad about. It's been decades. Now, I can eat too much, even of a good thing sometimes, but not cheat meals. Much love. Thoughts on semen retention? I've heard this and that. I don't really know. To me, it's all about why. Like if you're saving up your own energy for some special purpose and you believe in that, then I believe it'll work. If you're saving it up because somebody else told you to, I don't think it's going to do shit besides make you irritable. If you're just developing willpower and discipline, it's probably a good thing. If you're doing it out of some kind of guilt, it's not a good thing. So, to me, there's physiological changes, there's mood changes based on that. But I really think it's all about why a person's doing it. What is your intention? That's going to determine what you're going to get out of it or not, you know. So in and of itself, I don't think it's some magical thing. But I think with the right intention and power to the reasons why somebody might be doing such a thing, then it could be a powerful thing. That's my answer off the top of my head. Much love. Another, you think it's possible to do nucleus overload cycle on your fast twitch muscles? Yeah, I do. Also, do you get more how do I get more explosive from running, jumping, and lifting standpoint? Well, do your nucleus overload fast reps on the positive, like you're punching, you're kicking with those bands. Everything's explosive, right? High rep explosiveness. Now, granted, somewhere as the reps get higher, the muscle might just get slow and there might be nothing you can do about it. That's fine. Finish your set. But do as many of the reps as you can, explosive fast. And then from running, jumping, lifting, and all that, sport specific, do those things. And if you want to add to it, let's take running. You could try running with, well, sprinting uphill. That makes you more explosive because it builds power. For jumping, add ankle weights, you know, start building up your power on your jumps. You can even hold the trap bar. Start with just the bar. Don't want anybody hurting themselves. Start with just the bar, get your balance and control, but learn how to do vertical jumps with good control, holding a trap bar. And eventually you'll even be ready to add some weights. And from a lifting standpoint, yeah, do all your lifts fast on the positive, like Bill Kazmaier said. That's how you build power and speed, as well as all the strength and mass from those weights. Awesome questions. Much love. Hey, Nether, can high blood pressure be caused by messed up adrenals? Yes, it can. I don't know how you found this connection, but you're onto something here. The adrenals are connected to the kidneys, and the function of the adrenals affects very much how the kidneys are functioning. And the kidneys very much affect the heart. This is another thing most people don't know. Most people, almost everybody that dies from a heart attack, their kidneys were failing them, and that's why they died from a heart attack. When your kidneys can't regulate fluids in your body properly, your blood pressure can go all over the damn place. And when adrenals are on the fritz, which they are in most of society, in a stressed out world full of people that believe horrible things about themselves and they're told what to fear on the radio and the TV all day, and in their churches and at home and everywhere else they go, they're told fear this, fear this, fear this, fear this. We got people walking around everywhere with fried adrenals. And when your adrenals can't regulate anymore, blood pressure is one of the things that can go completely haywire, yes. So by reverse engineering and going to the source, researching and applying any proactive plan you come up with for adrenal healing, I believe you'll very much have improvements in your blood pressure too, yes. Awesome, awesome, awesome question. Much love. What's next? Can you train martial arts at home? Well, you can train all the fitness drills, you can do all your shadow boxing, you can do all your road work, but you can't do the most important part unless you have somebody at home who's willing to punch you and get punched and kicked, and that's sparring. To me, sparring is 95% of the game. The other 5% is all the other detail shit people do, hitting a bag and this and that. Fighting a bag is fucking nothing like fighting a fighter, so I would say you can do all your conditioning, you can get yourself athletically prepared, but then you need actual fighting practice, okay? So it depends what you're talking about. If you're talking martial arts for health and well-being, mind, body, spirit connection, you can do all that at home. If you're talking to actually compete and fight, you can do all your conditioning, you can take care of your body at home, but you need sparring time. You need people that are challenged to fight with, okay? And if you go to a gym where they're not a challenge to fight with, here's what I recommend. Say, I will fight you for 1 minute. When that dinger goes off, I will fight you for 1 minute. When that dinger goes off, I'll fight you for 1 minute, etc. Line up 5, 10, 20 people, however much of a true fitness sparring drill you want to do. Fight, fight, fight until you can't fight no more. Yeah, do it that way. Anyway, much love. Next question. People need to delete their questions once they're answered. Oh. Yeah, well, I try to delete them myself. If you guys want to do that, that's awesome. That helps out. But I try to scour over this thing when I have time. Sometimes I don't, so that would help out. But sooner or later, I'll catch the ones that have been answered and delete them if nobody else does. New question. Since you don't do conventional deadlifts because it doesn't feel right, what were some alternatives? Much love and thank you. Well, much love and thank you. The single best alternative is a trap bar. To me, a trap bar is a real deadlift, okay? The so-called conventional, it's only called conventional because somebody hadn't built a trap bar yet. So they were dicking around, bending over and doing the pull your socks lift for max weight, which is just a good way to, I don't know, be awkward and tweak something. A trap bar balances the weight properly so you can gauge more of your muscles in more of a balanced manner and not be trying to pull things out of place as much. So ultimately, you can teach yourself to lift more weight more safely in the long run. It's going to develop all the same muscles. It's going to develop any benefit you would have got from the regular deadlift plus a little bit more. Like quads, for example. So, yeah, that's the single best. Now, Jefferson deadlifts are fucking awesome too, okay? Either one of those is a superior deadlift to sumo or conventional. If you like sumo, okay. Sumo's kind of interesting. Lifting something heavy, doing the splits, it's interesting. But I would still consider trap bar deadlift and Jefferson deadlift to be the ultimate deadlifts out of anything anybody's come up with so far. By far, all right? Much love. They're much more functional. In the long run, you'll end up lifting more and developing more muscle with less injuries. And if you're an athlete, they'll prepare you to be an athlete, not just a conventional deadlifter, okay? Much love. Next question. Since I follow you, first Alpha Desi shout out. Your overall appearance has increased a lot. Hair are thicker and shinier. Nice. That's good feedback. Thank you. Beard is badass and very dense. You know it, baby. I'm hiding weapons of mass destruction in there right now. That's where I keep my Glock. No, I'm just kidding. Your skin too is more glowing, and even when the camera doesn't reflect much of the oil you have on it, you seem to also have less. Oh, so my skin's better. Thank you. Cool. Flattery, flattery. Where are we going with this? You seem to have less burps and so forth. Yeah. See, that's a sign right there that this has been a dietary improvement for me. As much as I'd like to be, as much as I think it would be more ideal to eat zero animal products and cause no harm to any living thing, my body does better when I'm on a diet. And I'm not revealing my diet because I haven't got set with anything yet. I've got a few interesting theories and ideas that might be kind of fun. There may be a video on that coming up, but we'll see. But yeah, much less burping. My digestive system's much better because I'm eating more suited to my DNA at this point right now. So like no burps, no gas, no bloating. It's awesome. You already told us you use a lot of castor oil, tea tree oil, and if I remember correctly, you wash your hair with apple cider vinegar. That's right. Bragg's unprocessed raw apple cider vinegar. But what's your routine? Like, do you just put oil on your skin, beard, and hair and then go out for your day, or is it something specific? It's super simple. Usually I don't even do the beard unless it's extra dry and bothering me. I just do my face, a little bit of castor oil on my face. That's really, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. That's it. You could say that's my routine. I do a castor oil scalp treatment once in a while, a few times a month maybe. The beard here and there. But that's it. Super simple. 95% of the improvements I've had in my hair and skin come from the inside over the years. Dialing in nutrition, dialing in changes of belief and perception to where I have a lot more well-being. I'm a lot more at peace with myself. I used to be destroying myself. So that's helped a lot. But yeah, it's very little external stuff, and it's with me it's 95% the internal stuff that makes the difference. You know, I take Gotu Kola and diatomaceous earth and bone broth sometimes, and various other things that are just super good for your skin and hair, you know. And I wash the hair with apple cider vinegar because it pulls all the grease and androgens and anything else you've got, bugs and whatever the hell else is going on in your hair follicles where all that greasy junk is and dirt. Cleans it all right out, just opens it up, makes it easy for the hair to keep growing. So it's way better than some chemical toothpaste some person patented so they could get rich selling you some crap that you don't need. It even stimulates hair growth. So yeah, that's basically it. You pretty much covered it. There's no real routine. I just put a little oil on my face each day, or otherwise it feels dry, and I don't like that. I'm a little bit vain about my face, not my body. Because like I said before, I have over 100 significant scars on my body. There's no point in worrying about that. But on my face, you know, I like to take care of my skin, so that's where I put the oil, you know. That's about it. Much love. Next question. Awesome feedback. Thanks for all the flattery. What are your thoughts on yoga stretching? I think it's awesome because it's like a controlled stretch under tension. It actually builds muscle as well as it opens up joints and lets toxins out and stuff. By making your body go into all those positions, certain organs and glands and joints and tissues will actually be able to dislodge gunk that's caught in them. So it's very health improving, you know. But you can actually build muscle that way. I remember the first time I ever did a yoga thing, this girl talked me into going to a hot yoga class with her. I thought I was going to die. Like I was very stiff. I was overheated. I was the only guy with a huge, massive puddle of sweat all around my mat on the floor that was over there straining and gasping for air, and everybody else, all these little flimsy hippie people were in there looking at me like, why can't you be quiet? It was humbling. So I did that a few more times and got a little better at it. For me, the main problem was the heat. I overheat. When I start using muscles, I get red hot to begin with, and then you put that in a room where the whole room's a sauna, I'm in trouble. I'm melting. My brain's going offline. It's insane. But yoga, another thing that comes to mind on yoga, I went to a museum display that showed bodies. Maybe you guys have heard that awesome exhibit that travels around the United States and maybe elsewhere, where they take apart the bodies and they show each individual piece like suspended near each other. One of the cool displays they had was a woman's body who had been real into yoga, and they were comparing her leg muscles to another person's. Man, it was impressive looking at her muscle fibers. They were much thicker and much more developed. So the basic idea that I'm sharing here is it's very healthy. Some people find it peaceful and balancing, which everybody can use to heal their adrenals and their mindset and everything. And you can even build muscle that way because you're putting tension on a muscle and then going through movements that cause you to stretch that muscle while it's under tension. This causes muscle development. So I think it's an awesome, healthy way to connect mind, body, and spirit, to get some detox, to get some conditioning, to get some muscle development, bone, joint, and tendons, because they all get challenged and stretched in different degrees. It's really good for your skeleton. So that's what I think about it. Much love. Next question. What encouraged you to start the metaphysical path? I feel like I've answered that on this channel before. It's a really long story, starting with a near-death experience when I was 2 years old. So I guess I'll summarize a little bit of it. So when I was 2, I died. I got to be away from my body, and I got to witness and understand things. So that me growing up as a kid, there was never even a question in my mind about whether this was all there was. It took me a long time to figure out that I was in a world where a lot of people just didn't know what to think about that. My third eye was open as a child, but it was a nightmare because I brought a lot of unresolved traumas with me from other lives, and so I was attracting a lot of negative entities. So I closed it, and I lived in the normal human world through my 5 senses, which was an utter living hell. And everything I ever did, the universe took a 2x4 and smashed it, because the truth is a higher part of myself was doing whatever it took to make me look within myself to find something that I was meant to discover that has to do with who I am to be in this world. Okay? So that's the very quick, summarized, vague version of it. Much love, my friend. Next question. I see you always have baggy shirts. Do you wear them for a reason? Yeah, I just like to feel better. I just don't like the feels of clothes that are hugging all over me when I move. I don't know why. I'm just that guy. I've always liked looser stuff that, you know, lets me feel more free somehow. I don't know. Just one of those things. Plus, if I get a shirt any smaller than this, my arms won't even go through it. So I pretty much have to get the baggiest thing I can. Do you ever take a rest week from working out? Well, I have plenty of times in the past, but I have not done so in the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, there's been one day that I didn't work out. It's because I was passing kidney stones and I just couldn't get off the couch to do it. But that's it. So in the past, many times I did. I had to. I'd get super sick from being overtrained and be on my ass, sick for more than a week sometimes. So usually it was forced when I would, take a break for a whole week. But yeah, it's happened before. But I don't do it these days. I'm not saying it'll never happen again. I'm just saying that it's not part of my current pattern. All right, much love. Next question. Hey, Nether, I'm a teenager and I've got epididymal cyst in my left testicle. Do you know any way to get rid of it naturally? My doctor said you can get rid of it with antibiotics or surgery. But I know, what are your thoughts on antibiotics? And I agree 100%. I don't trust chemicals that they use on surgery. What's your take on this? Well, my friend, I don't know what one of those is. That's why I couldn't read the word. But the fact that your doctor says you can get rid of it with antibiotics tells me it's an infection that's caused this cyst, which means natural immune boosters and natural antibiotics would be a much better way to get rid of it. So if I was in your shoes and I wanted to attack it that way, I would stack lots of raw garlic, lots of oregano oil. I'd take vitamin C. I would take astragalus, Astragulus, major immune boosting herb. I would take echinacea. What else could you throw into this stack? Bee pollen, that's a good immune booster. There's another one that I don't want to recommend. It's actually dangerous. If you take a few too many drops, you can die, so I'm not going to say anything. I'll leave it at that. If you try all those and it doesn't work for some reason, which it will, oregano oil in and of itself would probably clear this. Even garlic probably could if you can take enough raw garlic. But you stack those things together, you build your own immune system. Remember, garlic is an antibiotic, but it's a brilliant one made in nature that doesn't fuck you up. It makes you stronger. Oregano oil, same thing. Powerful antibiotic effects, no negatives. That being said, if you use this stack and you cure that cyst, it would still be wise and prudent to do a course of high-quality probiotics, because even though oregano oil and garlic don't wipe out all of your positive bacteria, they do knock down the levels somewhat. So just in order to get your healthy bacteria back up as quick as possible, it's not necessary, but it would be just prudent to go ahead and do a course of high-quality probiotics after you've used all these natural antibiotics and immune boosters to clear that cyst. Okay? That would be my plan of action from knowing what I know from right here, right now. All right? Much love. Is it possible to make wrists wider and stronger if you have very small ones? Yes, it is. I found that out of all my bone structure, my wrists were just exceptionally skinny compared to everything else on me. I even went and looked up the indexes for different bone and joint measurements, and my wrists were just different. They were skinny compared to the rest of my body. So I have added over a half an inch to my wrist. Now, how I did it, this is where it gets a little far out there for most people. I used a large bench vise, and I would wrap hand wraps really thick around my wrist so that the pinching of the hard metal, the chiseled metal of that vise wouldn't be too unbearable. And then I would slowly crank it and crush till there was micro fractures occurring in my whole wrist area. and then I would unclamp it and do the other one. One day I went too far and I literally broke this outer bone on my left wrist. There was a huge crunch, and after that it grew back way bigger. But anyway, through the course of 2 different summers, I went from 7 inches to 7 3/4 inches for wrists. Now, since stopping, they've shrunk back down to about 7.5, 7.5 strong. But think about that. That's a legit at least half an inch gain in bone and cartilage that everybody else thinks is impossible, of course, right? So it can be done, but you got to create the microfractures. You got to give the bones and cartilage in that area a reason to get bigger. It's a little painful, it's a little rough, it's a little intimidating. But if you've ever put in a hard set of squats in your life, you have enough pain tolerance for this. So it can be done. I'm not advising it, because if somebody goes out there and snaps their arm in a bench vise, I'm not responsible for that, okay? I'm just sharing how I did it. Also, a lot of impact. I'll take the backside of my wrist and backhand hard objects, like harder than a heavy bag many times. Even the front side, I'll take the sides and hit them and bruise the bones. I did all that, and it caused some growth, but the bench vise, yeah, that'll grow your wrist. Again, I'm not advising it. There could be side effects for some. Maybe some of you, if you grow your wrist a half an inch, maybe you'll have a nerve impingement. So again, this is not my advice. This is just me sharing how I did it. Because my wrist didn't match the rest of my body. My elbow joints fall into the large bone category. My ankles fall into the large bone category. My wrists fell into the low end of the medium category for bone size when I started. You can also see that I have really bony fingers. Skinny bony fingers for a guy. Like the knuckle joints are bigger than the bones, much bigger. They stick out. You know, I have long, skinny fingers like a musician. Now, I've taught these things to pick up a lot of weight. I got to give them credit. They're not holding me back anymore, but I just had skinny wrists and hands compared to the rest of my body. So I do have experience with that one. I'm happy I got to answer that. Not telling anybody to do it, just being honest. All right. Much love. Do you believe in karma? Well, the word karma has kind of been vague to me because different people seem to have a different perception of what that means. What I believe in is cause and effect, and I think the word karma is basically a spiritual concept of cause and effect that goes beyond one incarnation. It's the fact that you're an eternal being, and what you're experiencing right now is your creation, even if you don't realize it. That's karma. It's not about what's right and wrong. It's about cause and effect. It's about the fact that we have free will and we're making decisions. We have many past lives where we already made decisions that led to here. We have many future lives that we're affecting right now. That's karma, okay? It's all about cause and effect, and it's not about some deity punishing people. That's not how it works, okay? Anyway, you asked. That's my thoughts on karma. Much love. When I try to fast, I get really fucking irritable. Yes, most bodybuilders during a cutting phase get pissy. I'm surprised there hasn't been more brawls on stage. I think those guys are too scared to break their pretty faces. But anyway, yeah, that's normal. And I get obscene food cravings and bad thoughts. Like really mean thoughts, yeah. Any way to mitigate that, or is it just what comes with fasting? It's not every day, but when it does happen, it's shitty. Yeah, you know what? When I first started intermittent fasting, I had a few experiences like that. Now, granted, I had cleansed my body from most things like candida and this and that, so I didn't get near as harsh of cravings as most people. But I did get some, and I noticed that the longer I was an intermittent faster, the more that went away, and it got easier and easier. It got to where I didn't even notice that I'd forgotten to eat all day, because my body would run. It's like that now. If I don't remind myself sometimes, I'll forget to eat, because my body just runs so efficiently now in a fasted state. And I don't get the hunger moodiness until I do. Let's say I have a real productive workout where I tear up a lot of muscle. Usually sometime in the next day or two, I'll have some extra hunger, and I will get pissed off because my body's like, fucking feed me! What's the point in lifting all that weight if we're not even going to feed it and grow from it, you know? So it's kind of normal, but the more intermittent fasting you do, the more your body will clean out things that are causing those cravings, because they're going to starve if you don't feed them. Whatever those bad cravings are, if you don't feed that in, whatever it is that's causing you to have that craving is going to be dying off. And the cravings can get worse. Hell, they can make you sick when they die. They can make you feel like you got the flu and a bunch of nasty little microscopic parasites or, yeast strains or whatever it is. Little tiny bastards that are living in your body. When they're dying by the millions, sometimes you'll feel pretty bad too. And they'll give you every last signal for that craving they can to hurry up and feed them that junk food so the environment can support them and they can stay alive. But it does get easier over the time as your body gets cleaner and your metabolism gets more efficient. Okay. Much love. Next question. Best supplements to improve thyroid function. Right off the top of my head, I'd say the iodine and ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb with a special propensity for improving thyroid function. And iodine is the necessary thing for your thyroid. And you live in a world where at least 2,600 nuclear weapons have been detonated. And that radiation, guys, it bounces around like ricocheting in the entire atmosphere. That means the entire planet is sharing that radiation. So I don't care where you live. You have more radiation on you than you should, going through you, shooting holes in you that are too small to see all the time. Take your iodine, people. It's a wonder that anybody's thyroid works at all on this planet. And it is no surprise that thyroid shutdown, dysfunction, and death is absolutely rampant. It's your first defense against radiation, and we're living in a radiated wasteland. That's what we've done to ourselves. So those two supplements, one, you're giving it the nutrition it needs, which is depleted from the food sources that people are living on for the most part. And two, you're giving it an herb that very much knows how to interact with that gland and help it find itself again and restore its function in a harmonious way. So give those two a shot, all right? Much love. And do a little research on other people's experience, to know what dosages, what to mix it with, what time to take it. You decide on the protocol, but I would advise looking up those two supplements. Much love to you. Do you know a way to cure labial herpes? They come and go, but never really stop. Much love from Brazil. Okay, much love to you too. I've heard certain things like people that claim to have cured a lot of these alternative healers that, cure incurable diseases, even AIDS and stuff. And if anybody's looking that, I can point you in the right direction. Just hit me up privately so I don't get shot for helping you. And you don't. But anyway, I've heard many of them claim that herpes is one of the things that they've cleaned out of the body, all the different forms of it. So I don't know off the top of my head what protocol it would take to do that. I just know that super deep cleansing and super good nutritional, I believe it has a lot to do with alkalinity, alkaline nutrition in the body. It's basically a complete rehaul of all your cells. It's like if you go on an incurables program by a natural healer and clean your body deep enough to cure something like, say, AIDS, you can get rid of herpes doing that, just so you know. If you would like to look up one version of an incurables program, Dr. Richard Schultz, I'll link it. It's in the links below. All right? Much love, everybody. This Q&A, I'm going to call it there. I got to get on to some other things now. It's been fun. It's been enlightening. It's been enriching. So yeah, much love to all of you Jedis. Whoever's time stamping this, you're awesome. You might want to go ahead and announce that on the thread so others don't do so as well. Post it quickly. Whenever someone decides to timestamp this, go ahead and post that on the thread so others know it's being done, so somebody else doesn't duplicate it. And yeah, again, guys, if you want to get another better upgrade for a dirt cheap, ridiculous price, now's the time, because I'm getting busier on a variety of services and jobs I do for different aspects of life, and it's going to get to a point where I really have to slow down how many of these I'm doing. And in order to do so, I'm just going to bring the price up. It'll still be cheap as shit for what it is, but 30 bucks, 50 bucks, something. I'm just going to bring it up a little bit down the line here soon. So if you're still on the fence and you're like totally broke, you can get something for $15 that some ass clown with a bigger channel would be asking $1,500 for, and it wouldn't even be a custom design. It would just be some Okay, anyway, I don't know. I need to go on some ridiculous rant. I think I made my point. I think that's all for now. Much love, over and out for now, Jedis. Thank you all.